Hey guys, I'm Kai from Lucas Lana Rules. Hope you're doing well. And in this video, we're gonna talk about keeping and breeding chickens. Now I'm just playing. Actually, you'll still see plenty of snakes and DIY builds. But in this video, I also want to tell you why we got these chickens. So like I said, this is still going to be a snake channel and you'll see plenty of those a little bit later. In fact, I just built a new rack, so we'll go ahead and check that out. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about why we got chickens. So the background story to this is that one of my sons had his birthday during that harsh COVID period, and he really didn't get to celebrate his birthday. Got some gift cards and things like that, but what's a little kid gonna do with a bunch of gift cards? So when we went to Tractor Supply, he saw chickens there, but we weren't ready to purchase them. And ever since then, he's been wanting to have some chicks. So once we went back to Tractor Supply, we found out that the minimum you had to get was 4. So we ended up getting 4 of these white ones, which are called leghorns or longhorns, something like that. And well, long story short, we also wanted to have brown eggs. So we ended up getting some more red comets. So that's why we have 4 leghorns and 2 red comets. So that was the background story to that. And you can see behind me, I built this chicken run, and I'll be building a chicken coop along with some other DIY stuff related to chickens. So you'll see some more chicken related projects in future videos. Just wanted to give you the heads up. So now let's go inside and check out my snakes. So there's been some change, not a lot, but a lot of work had to go into it to get it to this point. This is really the only change right here. This is a grow out rack. It holds 16 tubs, and what used to be here was a hatchling rack that held, I believe, 18 tubs. But a lot of my animals are starting to grow bigger, so I opted out that one for this one. And when I said a lot of work went into it, I'm not talking about just building it, but because this room is so small and so tight, in order for me to get this up here and go behind and do all the wiring, I basically had to move all the racks in this room out that door behind me so I can move this entire rack along with all the ones that it's sitting on out this way so I can get behind it, get all the wiring and get all the heating components set up. So yeah, it took a while. You can see up here there's still 2 tubs missing. They are still being washed. I like to wash the tubs even when they're brand new. It feels like there's like a film on brand new tubs. I like to wash that off. But since I have that open, I want to show you a slight tweak that I made to the design. So this is what it looks like inside the rack. It's pretty much the same as version 1 and version 2, but in version 3, this particular version, instead of having one solid panel that runs from the front all the way to the back and having to cut a notch out to leave space for the heat tape to run through, I basically used 2 pieces instead of one big solid piece. So I have a slightly thicker one up here and I have a slightly thinner one in the back, and they're just glued in place with some PVC cement. Now there's really 3 reasons why I went down this new route instead of just following the old traditional way as I have been doing all my other DIY builds. Number 1 is saves on material without losing its structural integrity. And that leads me to number 2. I get a lot of emails and comments and questions about my rack builds, and one of the common questions is how many sheets of PVC did I use? And a lot of times I tell you the number of sheets I use to cut the large panels, but I often forget the supports that go in between because those are really just offcuts from previous builds, scraps that I have laying around in my basement and in my garage that I then just cut and then use as supports, but I often forget about those when I'm answering your questions. So I figure if you are building one from scratch and I tell you there's 1 sheet or 2 sheets of PVC, if you're building it with this design, with 2 little pieces instead of kind of 1 solid piece, there should be enough scrap left behind in those large sheets after you cut them down to make these supports. And number 3, you won't have to cut space in that 1 solid panel for the heat tape to run through because these are 2 pieces. One can go in the front, one can go in the back. The heat tape runs in the middle, not interfering with the support at all. So you're basically able to build the same rack with 1 less tool. And now back to the reason why I built this in the first place. And that's because the snakes in the hatchling rack are getting too big for their hatchling size tubs and they need to be moved to the next size up. So I figure since I have to go through and move these snakes around anyway, I'm gonna give you a look at some of the snakes kind of in a rapid fire manner like the old days. So let's get going. So those are a few animals that I moved up to the next tub size. Next, I want to show you some killer clown hatchlings. Not sure on what their IDs are, so I'm just going to show them to you, and hopefully in the next video, once they've all shed out, I'll be able to more accurately identify them so I don't make a fool of myself in this video. So let's take a look at those. Well, that about wraps it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new to this channel and you want to be informed of future uploads, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. As always, thanks for watching. Please share, and I'll see you guys next time.